Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of the Sankofa Cultural Collective series. I am your host for today, Nati Rekobrobe, and today we have a story that takes us across 3 continents. Seated with me today is Mark Day, a very, very special guest and close friend of the Barbados High Commission here in Ghana. So before we delve into today's story, Mark, welcome.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure to have you here. I have been waiting for this story for quite a number of weeks, I think. Now, before we even get into it, please do introduce yourself for our viewers.
Okay, my name is Mark Day. I'm born of mixed culture in the sense that my dad is from Ghana in the Volta region, and my mom was from Barbados. Both of them are passed anyway, but my mom was from Barbados and St. Michael's in Barbados.
So, Mark, what about you? What do you do?
Right, currently in Ghana, I'm the CEO of Deks Educational Institute, which is a school that my mother started way back in 1974.
I want us to go back a little bit. We were talking a bit before we started filming, and you did mention that your mother was part of the Windrush generation, meaning that she actually went over to the UK. So can you take us back to there? So let's tell a story. Let's go back as far as possible from the journey from Barbados to England and how that ended up with your mother and father.
So my mom liked reading a lot. She liked studying a lot, according to her elder sister, And so one of the headmasters of the school she was in Barbados, which I can't remember the name right now, said no, she needed to go to the UK and further her studies and improve and stuff. And so that was around the Windrush time. So she came into the UK, she studied, she became a nurse, and then she was working Southend-on-Sea, the hospital over there. And my dad also, those days they went across on a ship. He was working for the railways. So apparently it took 6 months to get there.
6 months from Ghana to the UK.
To the UK on a ship.
I see.
Those days, yeah. And so he went there to study. I know he was in Bournemouth. That's where he did his engineering. He's a mechanical engineer. And I don't know how they met up in Southend. Bournemouth and Southend.
I mean, they're not.
It's not exactly
so close.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I don't know.
You never got the story.
I never got that story, but I know they met. He was not well. He went into the hospital, I think A&E or something like that and stuff. And that's where it all
She
started.
happened to be the nurse at the hospital.
So that's how it all started. And so they met in 1958. And then I think decided they wanted to get married. And my dad, in those days, the racism was pretty strong. So my dad couldn't really stand it. He always tells you stories, and he always used to wonder, how do you live over there? Because, he just thought it was like how it was in the 50s. Because he said the places in Bournemouth, you enter there and they'll tell you,
so like no blacks, no dogs, no Irish, something like that.
I don't send your type. So you have to leave, that kind of that was exactly the type of expressions that were given in those days. And so he always wanted to come back home. So he decided he wanted to come back home. And my mom said before she leaves the UK and comes, at least she wanted them to come for a visit, for her to see how the country was before she ups and comes, because if she comes and she doesn't like it, she's not coming.
Yeah.
So she came down, and I think it was not soon when they had the independence, so in Nkrumah things were good. They said you could go into the supermarket and see your cornflakes and stuff like that.
I love that was the standard. Like, if you could see cornflakes, the country was doing well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then I was like, she could get her comforts.
Yeah.
If she wanted something, she was not going to be stuck with, I can't get this to buy and I can't get that. And then she saw you could grow your plantain and stuff in your backyard and all that kind of stuff. In 1961, she came down, they got married, and then she started life. So that's basically how they left the UK and came into Ghana. And so initially, she always used to say it was tough till she settled down. When she went to nursing school, of course, she got to get friends and got to get people around her and stuff and things. So then it became a bit better. but initially it was quite a big culture change.
Of
It was,
course.
yeah, and in those days, I don't think you got your ackee and saltfish and stuff like that.
I mean, even now, it's still a bit difficult to get in the system.
Yes.
I'm just curious, did
So-
she ever learn any local languages?
When she was here, her philosophy was that she's done hard enough, leaving her comfort and coming down here. So you don't expect her to to learn any languages. That was her philosophy. So she didn't study any languages. When we got to the age of 6, 7, my dad felt that we were not getting, my sister and myself were not getting the education. He really felt the exposure in the terms of education that he felt that we needed. And so he felt it was time that we moved into a big city or that kind of stuff, So based on that, he got a job as the deputy chief engineer at Unilever.
Oh, wow.
In Tema. So that is what moved us from Akwetia
To
Tema.
So you're living in Tema, and you've got your Bayesian mom, your Ghanaian dad, so you're having quite a nice hybrid when it comes to your upbringing. Your home is Caribbean and Ghanaian, which I think is very unique, especially for that time as well. So I still want to understand, how did we go from, now being in Tema to your mom being empowered enough to start this kindergarten, like you said, which is now a school that celebrated 50 years last year?
Right. So, like I said, she started in the house. She started in house as a kindergarten. I want to look after kids. And she's always said, my mission is, I want to help kids. So
she didn't want to do the nursing anymore. She wanted to teach.
No. When she came to Ghana, she really didn't do the nursing anymore. And basically, when she came to Tema, it was like sewing for other Caribbean ladies. She used to sew if you wanted a dress. She could sew and she had a machine and all that kind of stuff. And she used to do a lot of that. But then she always wanted to do this kids thing. So we started this thing when we were come to one, because that was a place that we rented. We moved from the flat because she couldn't stand it. So we rented this thing from Mr. Jesse, who was in the UK. And then after a while, I think he gave her 1 year notice because he was going to come back. So she had started this. He had allowed us to build a shed in the back.
Okay.
Before the boys got there. So when they were growing and there were more kids coming, they opened up there, and so we had extra help and stuff and things, and she used to basically running from our home. That's what she used to do. And then they decided, especially when it came that the man wanted his place back and she wanted to set up a school, so she said, let's get a piece of land. That was a bit like, this is a lot, are you sure you're going to make it? But she was like, look, let's start, that kind of thing. You will see how big, it sits on 4 acres of land.
Wow.
Yeah.
So from literally
the house. But this is what they use. This is a strategy they use. Every year they will build 3 classrooms. By the time we started in January, by the time you get to September for the new academic year, you've got the 2 rooms that the next group are going to use. Yeah. To use.
That makes sense.
And that is how it was built all along the line. That's how it's always been built. So the idea, even during our time when we are there, was that we never go to pick up a loan to build anything. We look at our savings and we do where we can reach, we do where we can reach, we do. And that's how it's always been. So you come there and you see this whole, it's huge, but it was done in stages, and that's how it started, and that's how it grew. But unfortunately, in 1984, we lost them. So it was a very, very sticky, difficult time. My mom lived, and her whole listen was the school. Her whole idea was the school. She would get up, she would go to the classroom. The teacher was not pitching up, she would take over the class, she would teach. The kids are making noise, she can go in the room in the middle of like somebody's affair. Sorry, I've got to go. Can you wait? So she'll put you out of the office. She'll go back into her interest was just the kids. The kids are going to be happy. She was very, very involved. She was very, very involved. So she was involved to that extent. She was involved with the parents. She was, so, and because, she was a foreigner and she was doing this new thing and stuff, a lot of the people took to, the idea of bringing their kids to the school and that kind of stuff because of that sort of involvement and the standards, really, because she was really like, even times when my dad would have to say, look, this is Ghana, you got to look you got to tone it down a bit, because she doesn't see something she doesn't say. That was one thing with her. She doesn't see something and she will say. She doesn't care who you are, what you are, what position you are in. She will tell you. Yeah, it's typical Caribbean.
I love that. Yes, yes.
Yeah. Typical, Caribbean, what is it or something, And I think it's because of her upbringing, and because she's struggled through life, and she knows what she wants now, and she was always looking for the best. So that was that was how the school really started, and that's how it started growing. So unfortunately, yeah, like I said, in 1984, she was like, okay. I was like, I want to study. Those ages, you're that teenage age, and yeah, I want to travel. Yeah, I want to go out. I want to go out, and
I want to rebel.
It was like, fine, you want to go out? Fine, I'm taking you, because I need a long checkup, and I'll be there, and I want to make sure you settle in and stuff. So we're waiting for you to finish your A levels, and then, so it was always going to be America. That was all on my mind. It was always going to be America. She wanted to make sure I settled in before she even came back, and all that kind of stuff and things. And so that was the idea. And then, unfortunately, before even the exams happened, yeah, we lost it.
You put a lot into my mind. So I want to know, firstly, your household. Do you feel as though you had a Ghanaian upbringing, a Barbadian Ghanaian upbringing, a Barbadian English Ghanaian? I want to know, what was the household like? And then, as an extension of that, you mentioned that there were other Caribbean ladies in the area. Where were they from, and how did that, I guess, impact your mother and influence, the way you were raised, essentially?
Yeah, so basically, even up to now in Tema, we have a platform, right, in Tema, of all the kids, because every time our parents were going, or our mom was going, you carry you along.
I see.
Or we're going for a tea party, we're going to have a rum cake and a cup of tea, those kind of, they shared recipes. If somebody had, some aki, they'll be sharing it among each other. If somebody went and brought saltfish, there was that kind of unity. So we grew up as a sort of like a team, or sort of like togetherness, because of our mothers. And they did that because they were far away from the Caribbean. And so for them, it was like, I'm with my people, despite the fact that we're not related. So Tema is very close, like the original Tema place is really, really close. So because, for example, I remember when we lived in Conti-10, you go the next street and it's Fenton's. And Fenton's was Mrs. Opoku. She was from Jamaica, right? And then you walked up the other time, it was Mrs. Mensah. She was from Jamaica, and she was a nurse. She used to wake up out. But that was a chartered accountant, and he was a financial controller at Unilever. So his dad, our two dads used to work together, and the two of them two were friends. So there was always that kind of knitting thing. So they're not your brothers, they're not your sisters, but you kind of relate to them in that way.
They're your play cousins.
Yeah, because we grew up together, and like Anthony is another one. He would tell you that. The mom would always say, come, let's go. We are going for rice and peas here. We are going for, and like Auntie Voida, Mrs. Owusu, on a Sunday, you always go to her house, and she has so many people there, and they are cooking and all that, and she was into restaurants and all that.
It was just fun.
Yeah, it was just a line.
Would you say they were almost the initial
Tema?
informal Ghana Caribbean Association?
Yeah. Because what you had to realize was that Nkrumah made Tema an industrial place.
Yes.
So there were a lot of factories and stuff and things. So a lot of them, like the men ended up there, and they were working like either in Valco or Unilever or Steelworks, or the big companies at the time. So they ended up all settling in Tema, and somehow or the other they got to know each other.
So you can say that your upbringing was very Caribbean and Ghanaian.
It was Caribbean and Ghanaian. It's funny, you see, and it puts you for example, in our case, it puts you in a kind of situation because we are not speaking Ghanaian languages at home. My dad was on Ewe, and Ewe is not the easiest language
to learn
because when you go out, it's Chi, it's Ghana. That's the common language that was spoken. So the only reason you learn Ewe is if you go to the Volta region and you probably stay there for 2 months or 3 months or something. Then you pick it up. So my dad was not speaking that with us because my mom would understand what's going on. So it was like literally English from day one right through more of our lives. So that was really life with mom at home. That's how I even understood what cricket was. How to play cricket, because she used to get the videos from Auntie Voida, it would be England versus the West Indies.
I see.
And we used to do those the videos you put in.
Mark, thank you, by the way. Thank you for coming.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
And thank you for bringing some mementos, some original, authentic photos from your mother's life.
This is actually the family.
Oh, wow.
If you recognize, that's me.
Wow, very handsome. Very, very handsome. So this is the house in...
That's the house in Tema. This is where actually I live now. Yeah, and so that's myself, that's my dad, that's my mom.
She looks so Ghanaian.
Yeah, she and I can't 100%, but I'm sure she sold it.
I'm sure she did. But can I ask, was your mother aware of the connection between Ghana and Barbados even then?
Oh yeah. She was much aware of it, and that made me even so much involved in history because I did history A-level.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this is lovely.
This is her, and this was one of the prizes at school, like a speech and prize day or something. Yeah. I actually found her passport.
Wow.
So it's a Bajan, because she didn't change.
It's a Bajan passport.
It's a Bajan passport.
Can we look?
Yeah, sure.
Sure. Ladies, because I'm sure many of you might not have even seen. So I know it's faded, but it would have had the United Kingdom, Great Britain, because I feel like it's very faint. Oh no, this is the Barbadian.
It's Barbados.
This is the Barbadian emblem. Oh wow.
Barbados.
Wow.
Because she never naturalized here. She says she's not giving up her Bajan. What's it?
So I don't know, it feels like I'm peering into somebody's life here. Wow, Mark, thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing not just your life, but your mother's life with us. And I think, stories like this are really important. Not just for this podcast that we're doing, but even for understanding, I guess, Ghana as it is today, because I think it's so easy to think that Ghana has just been influenced by, I guess, the indigenous tribes that are here, forgetting that there are so many external influences, not just the British, the Portuguese, but our brothers and sisters across the Atlantic, and how much they've contributed to education, to infrastructure, to leadership. And it's so strange because so many of my friends now, when I speak to them, they'll say they're Ghanaian, then something will come up and they'll be like, oh yeah, my grandma's from Trinidad, my grandfather's from Barbados, and I'm like, how did they all end up in Ghana? Like, how? So I know obviously your mother, it was because of your father, but do you know how I guess the other Caribbeans ended up in Ghana?
In Tema, and when I showed the picture I showed you of all that, it was mostly that was mostly of them, because out of them it was most the ladies followed the men and came back home.
So Mark, I'd like to bring your attention to our centerpiece behind you. So the top one, as you can see, is Elmina, where you've been many, many times. And the bottom is a representation of some quintessential elements of Barbados. So seeing this, what comes to your mind? How does it make you feel? Like, what do you think of our centerpiece representing both cultures?
No, it's cool. I mean, the history is there in the sense of this is where people all started from, And at times you wonder, because at times I used to think and say, so can my mom trace back, and did she probably just come from Ghana, or did she come from somewhere else or something? You know, that kind of thing. At times it marvels you and you wonder, you know, how was, because, or was she somebody who was already there? Because obviously there were some people there before others were brought on or something. So it crosses your mind, as to, what culture and what stuff that, and it's amazing. I think it's moved on quite a lot. This movement, the awareness is becoming very great. So I always say that it's changed from the time of my mother's, hair time or something. They came here because they met somebody from here and they felt they could have a life with them. And so they decided, let me come down and have a life with this particular person. But nowadays, people are coming more or less on their own choice. I've retired, I want a place to settle, buy land, build a house.
Even the young people too.
Yeah, in the young people, yeah. And it's become more of a holiday, like December, to December, 2-3 weeks. So the whole thing has changed.
So Mark, this brings me nicely to our closing discussion. So as we know, a big theme, especially for CARICOM Barbados and even the relationship between Barbados and Ghana, is reclaiming our Atlantic destiny. You are a product of both sides of the Atlantic. So when you think of reclaiming our Atlantic destiny, what does that mean to you? And what can we here in Ghana, and especially us here at the Barbados High Commission to Ghana, do more of to, push that message out?
Even when we break this barrier of direct flights, the plane goes there, but there's people also wanting to come back.
Come here from there.
Otherwise, it's not going to be economical, and the only reason you break that is like the awareness people have here and they want to come and see here and all that. And everybody when you mention Barbados in the UK, stories, and it's great. It's fun. You sit in the plane and it's packed to the rafters, and it's a huge, it's a huge plane, stop in Trinidad and Tobago, 20 people get off, the remaining 500 get to the Barbados. You see, so there's that exposure out there. But how many people, and it's a holiday, so the people have gone the week before, they have to come back. So there's space on the planes. But if we set a plane and we start moving here, how many of the people in the Caribbean want to come and see Ghana?
Yeah.
That's one side of the coin. I might be totally wrong.
No, you've made a good point.
Yeah. But I believe, because when it starts, even the flights are going to be a bit expensive. But now as it is, it's very difficult, because you have to fly through Europe or you have to fly to America, and it's almost a day, whilst it can be done in 7-8 hours.
Yes. So for you, we need to basically improve the exposure in terms of knowledge and just make the traveling easier.
Yes.
Mark, thank you so much for joining us for this episode. I hope you enjoyed.
It's a pleasure. I did enjoy it. It's amazing how you crack your brain.
Honestly,
I'm not cracking my brain, but the stories just keep dropping on your tongue.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you did enjoy this installment of our series, and we will see you for the next one.